The Worth of a Shirt, a Son's Journey to Greatness. In a quiet town nestled between rolling hills, where the streets whispered stories of old and the sky wore shades of amber every evening, lived a humble tailor named Edward and his only son, Lucas. Edward had calloused hands and gentle eyes. Every day he toiled in his small workshop, stitching garments for the townsfolk. He didn't have much, but what he had, he built with effort, sweat, and integrity. Lucas, however, was a boy of laughter and dreams. He danced through the streets with his friends, chasing wind and adventure, but never duty. His father watched, not with anger, but with a growing ache in his chest. Not because Lucas played, but because he feared that his son didn't understand the power of purpose. One quiet afternoon, Edward called Lucas into the workshop. On the table lay an old, wrinkled shirt, faded and unremarkable. Edward held it up. "Lucas," he said, "how much do you think this shirt is worth?" Lucas shrugged. "Maybe $1. It's pretty worn out." Edward smiled. "Then here is your first challenge. Take it to the marketplace and try to sell it for $2. Nothing more, nothing less." Lucas laughed. "Seriously?" But when he saw the resolve in his father's eyes, he knew this was no joke. So off he went. For hours, Lucas wandered the busy marketplace. Most people ignored him. Some laughed. A few pitied him. But finally, as the sun dipped behind the rooftops, an old man, shivering from the cold, bought the shirt for exactly $2. Lucas sprinted home. "Father, I did it!" Edward looked at him, not surprised, but calm, like he had expected it all along. Without a word, he pulled out another shirt, this one even older. "This time," he said, "make it worth 20. Lucas blinked. 20? For this? But Edward didn't explain. He just returned to his sewing, humming a tune from decades past. That night, Lucas sat awake. The question haunted him. How do you give value to something worthless? And then it hit him. The next morning, he took the shirt to his friend Ethan, a budding artist who printed custom designs. Together, they painted a famous superhero on the shirt, one that all the kids adored. Lucas then went to a park near a private school. Within minutes, a child begged his parents to buy the shirt. It sold for $20. Lucas raced home, breathless. "Father, I sold it, again." Edward nodded slowly, pride flickering in his eyes. "You're beginning to see." Then came the third shirt, torn at the collar, stained at the cuff. "Sell this one," Edward said, "for $200. Lucas stood frozen. "200? That's insane!" Edward didn't answer. He simply turned away and continued stitching. Lucas knew now this wasn't about the shirt. Days passed. Then one afternoon, he overheard something. A world-famous actress, Natalie Cole, was visiting town for a charity premiere. Lucas's heart raced. He found out where the event would be. He waited, shirt in hand, heart pounding. As the celebrity arrived, security closed in. Lucas pushed through, dodging elbows, insults, and confusion. Finally, breathless and trembling, he called out, "Ms. Cole, could you please sign this shirt? Just your name, nothing more." She paused, looked at the boy, sweaty, determined, eyes blazing with hope. "Just a signature?" she asked. "Yes, ma'am. That's all I need." She smiled, took the shirt, signed her name. With the ink barely dry, Lucas hurried to the biggest square in town and held the shirt high. One-of-a-kind shirt, signed by the amazing Natalie Cole herself, who wants to own this piece of history. A crowd gathered. Curiosity turned to excitement. Bidding began. The final offer? $2,000. Lucas ran home, tears of disbelief stinging his eyes. He dropped the bundle of bills in front of Edward. "I did it, Father. I really did it." Edward looked at his son for a long time. Then he stepped forward, placed both hands on Lucas's shoulders and asked, "Tell me, my son, what have you learned?" Lucas, now no longer a boy but something wiser, answered softly, "That value is never fixed. Even something ordinary can become extraordinary if we treat it with vision, effort, and faith. Just like this shirt, and just like myself. Edward's eyes welled with tears. Exactly, he whispered. I never cared about the money. I wanted you to see what I see in you. Potential, possibility, power. Not just in things, but in who you are. In life, we are all handed a plain shirt. Our starting point, our circumstances, our raw materials. Some see it and think, this is all I have. But others, like Lucas, ask, what can I turn this into? The value of a thing is the value we choose to create. And the value of a person is the one they choose to believe in. So the next time the world hands you something ordinary, dare to transform it. Dare to transform yourself.